So huge thanks for joining myself and Tony Egan. Tony, huge thanks for taking part in the upcoming Central London Evening Property Network, which is on 22nd of March. And you're going to speak in on your specialist subject, which is how to effectively work with contractors. Tony, for the listeners out there who may not know about yourself, um, tell them a little bit about both your property background and your contracting background. I believe you've been involved in property now for the last 18 years.
Yeah, that's right. I've been a landlord, and for the last 18 plus years, we do our own refurb. Smash them up, put them back together, put tenants in, extend them, loft extensions, things like that. So I'm not a developer as such, but we carry out. We in our contractor role. I've been in engineering for 40 years now. It's quite shows how old I am. But we work. I'm now, as the years have gone on, I work high end, generally doing planned maintenance. But as a contractor, you get a lot of insight, so we know how to deal with the right clients. So I work as a contractor with people working for me, contractor working alongside me, and also I'm a subcontractor. In occasions.
Tony, it's interesting. The more I spend time with developers, the more I understand contractors are so key in what they're doing, and it doesn't always, particularly if they're not presenting, but on a one-to-one basis, particularly with what's happened with Carillion. I'm sure you've heard about the what's happened in terms of Carillion and them as a contract, and it was interesting speaking to this developer who said potentially maybe the impact of what's happened to Carillion has had a knock-on effect on smaller contractors as well, all the way down the pipeline. So that's why it's so key for developers and investors to really have a good relationship with contractors. You were saying before we went online, it's not always the customer, the client finding a contractor. Is also about building a relationship up with a contractor as well. So what do you see as some of the mistakes which investors, developers can make working with contractors?
I suppose the most common one I see is where a developer or someone wanting work done, they'll think it's appropriate to go out to 6 or 10 quotes for a job. They haven't necessarily got a specification of works, a schedule of works, or anything written down or any way forward. So they're relying on the guys they're asking, any Tom, Dick or Harry. To me, all the good contractors I know, they're just not interested in working for people like that. It would immediately put them off. I suppose if someone's really hungry for work, maybe they'd be interested. But I see that as a mistake. No one's got the upper hand. The contractor doesn't have the upper hand, neither does the client. So when they work together well, when there's a mutual respect and understanding, then to me, that's when you get the best of all worlds.
Look, Tony, there's different ways people can go about finding contractors as developers. I saw online recently about someone emphasizing, QSs more and more and saying, they should have a good database of QSs. There's also word of mouth with other developers as well. But let's say you're in a new area, for example.
Word of mouth has got to be the best for that.
Sure. But let's say you're in a brand new area. You haven't, built up your network, haven't been to networking meets. How would you analyze which contractors to be working with?
You can go, depending on the size of what you want to do. If it's small works, it might be a new boiler or things like that, then you can go to, trade associations, like, you go to Gas Safe or the Chartered Institute of Plumbing and Heating Engineers. That's just for example. Those guys are qualified to do the job. And then see if they've got references as well. Don't be afraid to ask for references off your tradesmen.
And Tony, what will you be sharing on the evening of the 22nd of March about contractors?
It's be an insight into how we think as contractors, and also hopefully a step-by-step guide of just getting it right, and you've got clarification between the client and between the contractor. just to cover as many grey areas as is possible. If you've got that in your paperwork in the first instance, and as doing your diligence as well, and how to do your due diligence and where to do it.
So, Tony, you've worked at some really noted esteemed institutions. I'm not sure I'm allowed to mention them. I think they're on your website, though, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, Parks and Palace, yeah, you can say that. Right.
Yeah, so a number of leading institutions, including royal palaces, you've worked as. So, how can people connect with you before the meet? Facebook, is that one way, Tony?
Yeah, I'm Tony Egan on Facebook. My website is eganpropertysolutions.co.uk, or through yourself, through your events. There's generally something on LinkedIn.
Sure. So, Tony, I just want to say huge thanks for taking time out this morning, and huge thanks to the listeners as well.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.